So today we're going to show you something that I find all over the place. You can find them garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, geez, pretty much any place I go, I pull out some of these and they're usually less than $1. I'm going to show you some that I paid $1 for. So today we're going to show you something that I find all over the place. You can find them garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, geez, pretty much any place I go, I pull out some of these and they're usually less than $1. I'm going to show you some that I paid $1 for from a junk barn sale, basically. So what I got here are some spoons. Now they don't look like much to the average person, but these are decent, collectible, sellable spoons. I've cleaned them up a little bit. They were pretty dingy. This one has some dents to it from a child, very obviously chewing on it. And this is from SpaghettiOs. SpaghettiOs. Now I'm guessing it's from the 50s or before. Most of these sorts are advertisements, and I do fairly well with them. Something like this, I should easily get about 10 or 15 bucks. Again, these are $1. You're not going to make it rich. You're not going to go, break the bank on these sorts of things. But overall, I do extremely well. Again, SpaghettiOs. Now here you should be able to tell what this one is too. The Campbell's Soup Kid right there, so 20s or so I would gather. It's an infant soup spoon is exactly what this is. Some of these are silver, some of them are just silver plate as well, which are most of these. I think one of the ones we got in the last day or so were silver, but overall, they're mostly plated. I've had questions on, should you clean them? I clean them so you can read them. I clean them so you can see the details in the person. Other than that, I usually leave the rest alone because people do like the patina. It's easy to tell the difference between the old ones and the new ones when you do that. Now, some of my favorites are World's Fair items, and this is from the 1892-93 Columbian Exposition, which was the Chicago World's Fair. And this is a perfect example of one of the spoons that you'll turn up. I've had probably 50 or 60 from the Chicago World's Fair from 1893-92 era. This is just another one. Now, they make them for all sorts of different events. It actually says World's Fair, Columbia, and the whole works on it. I've got several others. Here's another one. This is another World's Fair. It shows one of the buildings on it. World's Fair, what does this one say? 1896 is what this one says. At least that's what it looks like. So it's from another World's Fair. Again, it doesn't matter so much the specific fair for some of these later ones. And I say later ones because like the 1876 Paris or something like that, they go for some pretty darn good money, as do ones before this. The Centennial Exposition from 1876 does extremely well. Now here's an interesting one, and this is the Battle of Manila. And it's day one of the Battle of Manila, 1898. Admiral Dewey is at the top, and he was in charge of the U.S. naval forces in the battle, the whole works. Philippine Islands, obviously the Spanish-American War is when this one is from. You can see the colors, the flag, and there's a battle scene, a ship battle scene in there. Again, this one I will probably clean up a little bit better because it will do far better. The military combat battle ones do far better than the World's Fair ones overall. This one should get me about 20, 25 bucks right off the bat. Now, the old ones look pretty much like the new ones. And this is a 1964 World's Fair, which is pretty darn new in my book for this sort of thing. But again, this one will still get me 7 to say 10 bucks at best. If this was sterling, I'd probably get about double that or more. Spoons in general, I do extremely well with. I've sold every World's Fair spoon I've ever put up. I've sold every military one that I've ever put up. Advertising spoons, I sell every one I put up. Even spoons from, say, a 5 and dime that say like Woolworth. The soda shop, the soda fountain in the actual building, any of that silverware is worth some pretty darn good money. A hotel spoon, USN spoon, it will be marked with the USN and an anchor, all worth money. Now here's an interesting one. This one says St. Martin. Obviously, I believe it's the Country. This one does look to be sterling. It has some decent marks. It has a windmill that actually spins. It's fairly heavy. It's well made. These sorts of things I have to look up on this specific one. The other ones are pretty easy, but this one I haven't had, this specific one. It's probably worth 15 or 20 bucks at best. So overall, you can pretty much assume I'll get at least on average about 8 or 9 bucks on average across the board for every spoon that I can sell. I got 3, 6, or 7 of them, so 9 times 7 will give you a rough idea. Value, how much did I spend on these? About $2 total is what I spent on them. Again, it's the type of thing that's usually black or dingy. I cleaned them, as I said. They were pretty darn dark and dirty and dingy when I bought them, but I'm fine with that. A little bit of cleaning goes a long ways. Just as long as you can see them is the biggest aspect of them. Now, another item I do extremely well with are Boy Scout patches, and here's a perfect example. This one goes back to probably about the 80s or so, I would gather. These council or lodge badges like this, I can sometimes get a few $100s for individual ones. This is one of those 50-cent, quarter, maybe at most dollar purchases that I would nab up. If they're bulk purchases, I do far better, and I'm more apt to purchase a huge lot of patches than I would be just a couple. Because not everyone obviously is going to sell for much money. A large chunk of Boy Scout patches may only get you 3 or 4 bucks. But if you know the right ones, you know the councils, you can tell the age of the earlier ones versus the new ones. Now this is a new one, and you can tell by the looks. Chances are this one has been used, either ironed or stitched on. The earlier ones are on felt. Some of the earlier ones would have different shapes, but the felt aspect is usually the best deciding factor on what the value or age is on the items. Now, I almost never pass up lots, as I said, so if it's a lot of Boy Scout patches, I'm all in. We've done extremely well with all the ones we've had. I rarely keep Boy Scout patches, if they're vintage, if they're felt, if they're early enough, in inventory very long at all. They're items that sell extremely well. It's something that I will always nab up. Now, just one more item here. This is an owner's key tag, and these are pretty much found all over the place. Sometimes you can actually determine who owned them by the number on there, but this is for a company, a specific company, and as you see, Page Steel and Wire Company. It's got the town as well as the state that this is from. Now, these are, again, another one of those items that most people would pass up because of the size. It doesn't look like much. They may not even know what it is, but it's a return tag. So you'd send it back to the company if you found a key on it, and they would take care of the postage. You could just send it postage due, and the whole works. I've had hundreds of these sorts of things. They do extremely well. I find them for various different types of businesses. Railroads, you can find them for sometimes banks and things like that as well. Any of these little tags do extremely well. This is, again, a quarter purchase for the most part. I don't pay much more than that for these. Usually they're mixed in with tokens. So I do go to coin shows and I buy this sort of thing. Sometimes I can go to military shows and find silverware, spoons, plates, and things like that, as well as patches. So those are secret places that I've went for years that I'm able to do extremely well. A military show is a great place to find pens and pencils, postcards many times, paper items as well, because most people buying that sort of thing are looking for an actual military specific uniform piece or badge or buckle or something along that line. So if you know the right types of items, the cheap 25-cent, 50-cent, or quarter purchases that we make us as much money as the folks spending $5-10 bucks for an item and still only making $5 or $10 bucks profit. So if you're not making a ton of profit and you're spending a whole bunch of money, like clothing, for example, most people I know are spending $5, $6, $7 bucks on a piece of clothing to turn around and get 20, 24 bucks. I can spend a quarter and get about the same amount of profit, and with the items like these, I charge for shipping. So every item I'm listing that you see that I show, pretty much every single one, they're also paying for shipping. I can get away with it. It doesn't matter what the other person's doing. These are scarcer items. They're not, a t-shirt that 100 other people would have or tennis shoes that 100 other people would have. These are good, clear items that will make us a lot of good money. So the items I just showed you here, there's over $100 in profit, and I may have $2.50 invested into them. Again, they don't look like much, and that's the reason why I do so darn well on these sorts of things. It's another reason why I can get them so cheap, because most people assume that they're junk when they see these little tiny things. Dirty, dark-colored silverware. Again, most of these you couldn't even see what it was on it until I buffed them up a little bit. So if you don't mind cleaning stuff, you can look beyond the dirt, look beyond the smalls, look beyond a patch that may be folded or creased. These can be ironed. They can be ironed, so if you find some that are creased or you know, smashed in somewhere, or even if they have stains, they can be washed. So most of this stuff is easy to fix, easy to clean, easy to list, and easy to sell. Super easy to ship and super easy to store as well. But anyway, that's about it for today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
This is how Lego grows. Like a song, Lego building bricks start out simple. First, it's new Lego preschool for little hands. Then Lego building sets and models for older children. With more Lego wheels to snap on, moving shutters and doors, Lego grows from child to child. Hour after hour, day after day, year after year, Lego changes. Start with one little piece and see how it grows. There's no end to Lego.